Hi everyone. In this video we're going to talk about arrays. We already know about data types, integer, string, and real, and also boolean, right? When you create a variable using any of these data types, you can only have one value. For example, age is equal to 10 means that this value on the right hand side 10 is assigned to the variable age, which is integer data type when you create it in Flowgorithm, right? But what if you want to store more than one integer in a variable? It is possible using arrays because arrays are collection or set of same type values. And let me go and ahead and show you some examples. Integer array, for example, this set A is a collection of 4 integer numbers: 10, 55, 45, and 99. A string array would be, as in this set B, John, Kelly, and Peter. But be careful that strings are always going to be in double quotations when you're trying to insert it into your array. A real array would have real numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 members I have in this array. Okay, and the boolean, since the boolean data type can have only true or false values, it can have multiple values: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 different values inside one set D. It's a boolean array. And the other property of arrays, just like strings, arrays will have index values. If you look into the set A, the first item here will have the index value 0, and the second one will have 1, index 1, and index 2, and index 3. Okay, so while you're assigning values to array numbers, you're going to use those index values, and you will use the special symbol, parenthesis, cornered, right? If you want to insert 10 into this array, A0 is going to be 10. Okay, you can actually modify that value too. If you want A0 to be a different value, you could just do it in Flowgorithm as an assignment. A0 will be 76 from now on. And along your application, all these values will be remembered, just like a Flowgorithm remembers what's stored in a variable, unless you change it. The reverse, instead of writing into while you're reading values from array members, you're going to use the index values again. For example, you may have an integer first number variable and assign the value on arrays A, 0th member. Okay, it will receive the value. Since we have changed it, it's gonna be 76 now. First one number will have the value 76 because we access to the first element by using the index 0, right? Index 0, and the first element right here was 76, right? Okay, so when you have a set of same data type values, you can access to their values by using their index value, and also you can assign new values and read the values from those locations by using a variable. Okay, so how are you going to know, for example, 45 is on the second place on the index value 2, right? How are you going to know about that? In general, we don't particularly need to know exact values in exact indexes. We just read them, and if we need to compare with some values, do that in an if statement or use it in our assignments. We will have a couple of examples. And the other property of an array, every array has a size. The number of items in the array is the size of an array. For example, for this array, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 items. That means the size of it is 4. For this string array I have here, I have John, Kelly, and Peter, 3 members. That means the size of B is 3. Same goes for the C and D. Without counting the members in the array, we can actually find it by using the built-in function size. The size function will take an array and then it will return the integer value, the number of items in the array. Okay, we're gonna use that one in our examples too. Okay, now let's create an integer array and then put numbers into it and then read them back. How can we do that? Okay, so I'm gonna use another actually built-in function called random. That random function will generate a random value between 0 and n. For example, if I say random 9, that means it's gonna generate a random value between 0 and, actually it's gonna be 9 minus 1, 0 and 8. Okay, so let's declare an array. Arrays are declared just like variables, and when you let me create an integer array. You could use any name, it doesn't have to be my int array, for example, and it's gonna hold integer type of values, and yes, it will be an array. Just check this box right here, and then you're gonna ask for a size. Okay, you're gonna enter a size value. So how many members you want? Suppose that I want 10 members in that my integer array. Okay, it's ready. Now I can actually assign values. Let's make it not 10 to make it easier. Okay, I can assign values right now by using the assignments, just like this one I did. I would say my int array 0th member is gonna be 10. Okay, so I'm gonna just copy this name to use it later on. So for the first one, I'm sorry, delete, and another assignment for the second member. This is gonna be the index 1. You know, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, and let's say it's 6 to 7. Okay, and then I'm gonna use another one, and the second index, which is the third member, is gonna have 23. So you see that I have 4 members, and index values are gonna be 0, 1, 2, and 3, just like in this one. 76 is 0, 55 is 1, 45 is 2, and 99 is 3. So even though the size is 4, the index is size minus 1. The maximum index value is always size minus 1 because we're starting from 0. Okay, and for the third one, which is the last one, I'm gonna say third index 3 is gonna be 98. Okay, so now I have all the values of the array assigned properly. Now I can print them out. Okay, I can actually create an output and then type my array 0th member is gonna be printed out on the screen, and the second one is gonna be and the third one and the fourth one eventually. Okay, and this is gonna be the first index 1, index 2, and index 3, and index 3. Okay, so what did I do so far? I created an integer type of array named my int array with 4 members, and the members are assigned here by using their index values. The first element is 10, the second element is 6, 7, but its index value is 1, and the third element is 23, and the last one is 98. And here I'm printing out the results. Okay, let's see how it works. There you go. And as you see here, it prints out the first and the second and the third and the fourth element. And if you look up here, 10, 67, 23, and 98 in order. Okay, so this is one way to read the array members. Okay, and also what I could do, I could use a loop to print out the array members. It could be something like this. I would use a for loop because I know how many elements I have in the array. I could use the size function to figure it out if I don't know. And for my for loop, I'm gonna use the loop counter as usual. You need to use that loop counter as integer, and it's gonna start from 0 all the way up to size of my int array. Okay, the size is 4, so the index value is size -1. Okay, because loop counter is gonna act like the index value while I'm trying to reach to the members. So how does it work? We're gonna put an output shape here, and inside that shape my int array just prints this item. Loop counter is gonna be the index. So how it's gonna work, the loop counter will be 0 at the beginning, and then my int array 0 will be printed, which is just like this one, right? My int array 0. When the loop counter is 0, this expression will become my int array 0, and then the loop continues, and then loop counter becomes 1 because loop counter is gonna increase by 1. Alright, so when it is 1, it's gonna print out my int array 1 index, and 2 and 3 eventually. It will never be 4 because the size of the array is 4, but we are counting up to 4 minus 1, 3. So it will actually print out 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so it's gonna print out, but to separate the outputs, I will just like to put a star separator, something like this, and then run it and see what happens. Okay, so this was the first output. The first 4 items are coming from the first output right here. Okay, and after the stars, it goes into my loop, and 6, 7, 6 to 7, 10, 6 to 7, 23, and 98, the same numbers are repeated because I'm starting from 0 to the last member. Just to have a little fun, I can actually create another for loop, then print out the members in the array backwards. I could do that too, right? So I'm going to use the loop counter again. I don't need to create another one for that, and the start value will be, in this case, size of my int array -1. Okay, the end value will be 0, the first index, right? And then it will also be decreasing. So if I say OK and then put the same thing, just copy here and paste it here, so it should, in this case, print out the array in reverse order. And I want to copy my output separator here and put it right here, and then so run it. As you see, it says 10, 67, 23, 98, and then backwards 98, 23, 67, and 10. What happens if I want to modify the one of the values in the array? Okay, I will do this simply here, saying that okay, now you know what, my int array, let's replace the first value 0 with 876. Okay, and then if we print out the array again one more time, so I can simply copy and paste this here. It will just after the modification, it will print out the array one more time, and I want to put my separator one more time here, copy, and the separator here, paste. Okay, now after the modification, the first array item needs to be 876, not 10 anymore. So if I run this and then maximize it, so after the separator here, 98, 23, 67, 876, it was 10, now 876. So you can read and write to arrays. You can read from arrays, write to arrays by using their index values, and also it is very nice to have that loop that you can actually go through each element, each member in the array. Okay, so what I will do, I will save this as arrays and the first example, and then save it. And what I will do, I'm going to create a new one, okay, and this time I'm going to create a string array. In this string array, I will go into a loop and then ask the user to enter a string, a name for example, and then store it into my array, and then at the end I will just print out the arrays. Let's say we're gonna put 4 names into an array, right? And it's gonna be a suppose that it's gonna be an address book, right? Address book, and it will be a string, okay, and it will be an array, and we're gonna have 4 people in it. Okay, so I'm gonna go into a for loop, okay, and since I know how many items I need, don't forget about your loop variable here, loop counter as usual, an integer, and then inside the loop I'm gonna use loop counter one more time, and then we're gonna start from 0, and we will go all the way up to size of the array address book, okay, -1. Okay, we're gonna increase it, and every time we loop we're gonna ask for name, and we will tell the user enter a name, okay, and the user will enter a name, and then we will read it from the keyboard, right? For input shape I need a variable, so I'm gonna create that variable on top here. Let's say name, and it will be a string. Okay, now I can use it in my loop, right? So it's gonna be an input here, we'll read from the keyboard using name variable, which is a string. Once I got the string, I can add it into the address book, and it will be something like this: an assignment address book, and which index location I'm going to insert it. Obviously a loop count index, because the loop starts from 0, it's gonna insert the first item into the index 0, the second item index 1, etc. So it will be assigning this name value to the location where the loop count points. It will be 0 first, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3, and that will be it, because we have only 4 members. Okay, and after that what I will do, I'm just gonna print out the results. Okay, so to print out the results I can either manually type something like this. I would say address book 0, type this, or I can just go into a loop, right, and then add all the 4 members here, just like we did previously. This is gonna be the second item, which has index 1, and the third item, which has index 2, and then the last item with the index 3. So output and index value 3. So now what I did here, I'm asking the user every time I loop to enter a name, and I insert that name into the address book array, which is a string array, and the index location is defined by the loop counter's value. At first it's gonna be 0, address book 0 and the name address, and then the second loop address book loop counter is 1, address book 1 and the name, etc. And then once we filled up the array, we can actually print out the results. Let's do that. Enter a name. Let's say I say John. Loop count was not declared, it says. I believe I made a mistake with my loop counter. Okay, that's not loop count, loop counter. Let me fix this. It's not loop count, loop counter. Okay, run one more time. Enter a name. John, another one. Kelly, another one. Peter, and the other one, Susan. And it prints out the values I entered: John, Kelly, Peter, and Susan, but they're coming from the array, as you see here. Let me save that one too, and then it will be arrays number 2. Okay, and I'll do something interesting. I will create an integer array. Okay, and that integer array, 1,000 numbers. Okay, integer, and it will be array, and it will hold 1,000 number, and click OK. And then I will just go into a loop. Okay, and loop counter an integer, and inside that loop I will loop counter from 0 to 1,000, because I know I have 1,000 arrays members, right? Well, actually it's not going to be 1,000. 1,000 members mean that 999 index values, right? From 0 to 999 is a 1,000. Or just if you don't want to deal with the numbers, fearing that you can make a mistake, you could just put it right here, and the name of the array was 1,000 numbers. 1,000 numbers. Okay, and then what I will do, I'm gonna fill this array with random numbers. Okay, and then I'm gonna fill every item in 1,000 numbers, and open loop counter. Every item will receive a random. Okay, if that was the case, random, and we're gonna put values between 0 and 1,000 or 999. Okay, so I'm gonna put n as 1,000 because it's gonna be between 0 and n minus 1, and every member will have, okay, you know what, actually we can put a larger number. Let's say 20,000. If I put 20,000 here as the n, it's gonna be between 0 and 20,000 minus what? 19,999. So these are this function will generate random numbers and then put it into the array. So we're gonna have 1,000 random numbers at the end. and we would like to see them. Okay, so what I will do, I'll put them in the output and just print out them in order, right? I mean, I need to go into the array, visit every member inside a loop, and then print them out. So I'm just gonna copy this and then paste it here, and then instead of a new assignment, I will just put my outputs right here at thousand numbers and loop counter. This is gonna print 1,000 numbers, right? And also you see here it says a new line. Okay, when you check this one, it's gonna print out the next item as a new line. All right, so I don't want that. I want them together on the screen, side by side. So I'm just gonna put a separator. Okay, and then let's see what happens. Okay, and then run. 1,000 numbers not declared. Thousands. Okay. Clearly I'm making a mistake while I'm typing the name, so the best way to prevent these kind of problems, just copy the name and then use it everywhere, right? So I'm gonna put it in here, so to prevent any typo. Oh, I forgot a U here. That's why actually I should fix that one first. 1,000 numbers, thousands with the U. Okay, and then copy it, and then see 1,000 numbers, 1,000 numbers. Now there you go. Another same mistake. Okay, you see that? 1,000 numbers. All right, run. What does it say? The weld range is 0 to 999. Okay. Okay, 1,000. Okay, that is supposed to be -1 if you remember from the previous video. I don't know why did I forget about that. Go ahead. There you go. These are the numbers. 1,000 of them are printed in one single line. If you don't like this way of showing stuff, you could just modify your outputs, because I don't like it. I mean, I don't know what you think about it. And instead of okay, run it and see, all these random numbers are coming from this random generator and then inside the array. All right, so let's limit this. Let's then limit this with a small amount of numbers. Instead of 1,000, we will just say 5 numbers, for example. Okay, do I need to change anything else? Not really, because we're using the size function. Okay, and then you're gonna run again, and then it says allowing. Okay, in my second loop I forgot that -1. Okay, and then run it. Okay, I have now 5 random values. Look at that. One more time. Another 5 random numbers. Another 5 random. Another 5. So I can create numbers, insert them into the array, and read them back in a loop. Later on, we're gonna see functions, and we're gonna write, loops to call over and over inside the main function as a separate function. Okay, so I think we're done with the arrays. I did the integer array and string array. You could also have real arrays and also boolean arrays. Okay, all you had to do, create an array with a particular size. Don't forget to check that box, and remember that every array has to hold the same type of items. If you're creating a string array, it will always hold a string value. A real array, it will always hold a real value. Okay, drop me if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.